Common sense really isn't so common anymore. Let me explain. There's a lot of midwits in in the crowd. Whenever it's either being in the grocery store, just kind of observing people going about their way and doing their own thing. Especially on the road, there's a lot of. It tends to be older people. Just not really having much of a clue what they're doing. Let's say they go to like a roundabout and they're like either waiting too long or for some reason stopping in the circle. I mean, it's 2026. We've got plenty of roundabouts around us with how they're trying to push the infrastructure of roads and everything. It's become a lot more common. I don't understand how somebody doesn't know how to use a roundabout. Um, that and let me get to the point of social media where I guess I feel like it's the biggest thing. What's going on right now in general, it has to do with the Epstein files and how really no one seemed to care about it enough to really do anything about it. I heard some people causing some minor discourses with discussions online going on about that stuff, but there was never really anything happening. No riots, no protests, none of that stuff. It was just brushed over. All of the, the big higher ups, the political agenda pushers and everything like that. They're like, oh no, don't worry about it. Just brush it under the rug. No one cares. It's not that big of a deal. Trump was even one of those people that were trying to make it seem like it was really not that big of a deal. And I wonder why, because first off, he was best friends with Epstein. So that just kind of tells you everything you need to know. And two, his name was in the Epstein files. I don't remember how much, but it was in there a lot. It's not like he was an innocent man. We know his past and everything like that. He's just not a good dude, and he's running our country, which is the crazy part. But my point is no one really even tried to do anything to get anyone behind them. I mean, I know it would be a lot harder to do now. Actually, no, it would be way easier because we can all interlink and just link up and communicate with social media. But no, everyone's so tame and docile now. Everyone just cares about the breads and circuses, when in reality we're just a bunch of sheep. The main population is just a bunch of sheep. Common sense isn't so common anymore. Nobody's thinking for themselves anymore. Deep critical thinking is on the downfall. It's shown in studies with kids coming up now. They're so brain rotted with social media and technology that they'd much rather just outsource any of their thinking to either ChatGPT or whatever the case is, any sort of AI, so they don't have to really do anything on their own. We're really just moving to a Wall-E-esque kind of world. If you've ever seen Wall-E, it was a Disney show back in the 2010s, not a show, a movie. But essentially, the whole world has kind of crumbled to shit. They've used up most of the resources, and now it's just a bunch of fat, lazy people in this basically, like, I don't know how to describe it. Some people would quote unquote say utopia because they don't really have to worry about anything. It's a bunch of just men, women in these chairs. They're severely overweight and they're just glued to their devices. They don't think for themselves. They don't do anything. They don't have any control or conviction to do anything with their lives. And it's crazy because a lot of people would actually prefer that if they don't have to worry about trying to figure anything out on their own. There's just not much. There's not much fire lit under anyone's asses anymore, which is crazy to see because, hard working men built this country. Hard work is where we are, is the reason we are where we are today. And now look at us. I know there's a saying that says like hard times create tough men, and tough men create easy times, and easy times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. And it's just like a whole cycle, which I think we're in the easy times creating soft men. And then no, we've already been in the easy times, and now we've created a lot of soft people, and we're going to be going through some hard times until, it creates tough men, and the whole cycle continues. But where I'm really going with this is a lot of the population, at least when I'm talking about like more like Western standards, United States standards, because that's where I live, a lot of people just really don't have common sense anymore. Just like rage baiting online, which is crazy because it's just one of the simplest like forms of emotion and feeling is anger and resentment. And people just saying stuff to get a reaction out of the people, because I know that that's what the algorithms push. And neither, I would say it's definitely not for the best. There's a lot other things that could be way more helpful, but the algorithms are designed to elicit reactions, and that's what keeps people, glued to their phones, because 1 minute you're scrolling, you're going to see something really happy and joyful, and the next minute you're going to see something that makes you a little flustered, and then something that makes you think a little, and then it's just like a whole cycle of just like ramping up and down your emotions in these quick little 15-30 second videos. No wonder it's rotting people's brains and making us more and more stupid. If you want to say it like that, the average IQ is dropping. Like I was talking about a little bit earlier with the kids growing up and everything. They're even teaching these kids different ways to read. It's I believe phonics is the way that kids used to be taught how to read, where they would try to sound out the syllables and letters and words to go ahead and be able to pronounce and read the word. Because when you're able to do that, you can go across really any word, and you can eventually sound it out and figure out how to pronounce it and read it, everything like that. But I guess what they're teaching now, I don't remember exactly what it's called, but they're basically kind of teaching kids now to use context clues to work around the word and try to like guess what it means, rather than actually sounding it out and figuring out what it is. So not only do we have kids being brain rotted by all this technology, AI, but they don't know how to read. They're becoming illiterate. It's becoming scary. And the average IQ of the American citizen already isn't that high. And you combine it with this, and it's just going downhill. And another thing, pertaining to my point with that, I think it's the NBA Finals going on right now. I haven't really been keeping up with most sports. I used to be big into basketball back in high school, but ever since I stopped playing and got out of high school, I really just don't care much about it anymore. It really is just bread and circuses for the average person, and just for most people. Even if you're not like average, I just know it's a very common thing for guys and some girls to be a part of. Why do you think the professionals are getting paid millions? Because they have big audiences, they have big crowds, a lot of fans and stuff like that. But I think that they were I think either a team won or lost. I don't remember the exact context of the video I was looking at. I kind of just scroll past a lot of stuff that either elicits a reaction out of me, because I don't want the algorithms to have that much control over me and control my emotions and dictate how I'm feeling. If I see something I don't like, I'll just scroll past it. But it was a bus being followed, and the streets were just filled with a bunch of people. I think either they were celebrating a win or they were upset with a loss, but there was just a conjoined group of people that all came together for this sports ball team. For the finals. Which, don't get me wrong, if you have a hobby, please go ahead and do it, enjoy it. Don't let me be the one to gatekeep you whether you can enjoy something you like or not. I have no ability to tell you to do it otherwise or not. And same with the flip side. Like, I have my own interests, and I'm not going to let somebody that isn't into them tell me to not be into them or not to like them, because at the end of the day, you don't have any say or impact on my life, and same goes for me to you. But it's just really crazy to me that we see them coming together for a basic sport, for a team, for athletes that are getting paid millions that will never interact with them or care about them or even know who they are. Yet when we are talking about where our nation is going down the line with the Epstein files and inflation and a lot of just poor decisions in our higher ups, they could care less, because honestly they don't care. They're not paying attention to that stuff. When you distract the masses well enough, they'll never even know what's going on, more or less even try to dig down deep to figure it out themselves. They probably outsourced it to an AI at this point, which is sad, because critical thinking is really dying off. The average intelligence is dropping like flies. It's scary to see. I'm not saying, I'm this super intellectual person, but I have a mind of my own. Well, I hope we all have minds of our own, but you get my point. I try to think critically of things. I like to immerse myself in different stories and stuff like that. And it's just crazy to see that a lot of that's going away. Common sense really is becoming less common. With how everyone's feeds are being ultra individualized. Not many people are watching the same stuff, growing on the same stuff, being raised on the same moral beliefs. Which, I mean, there are pros and cons to that, but at the end of the day, not many people really know how to function in a society, especially the terminally online people. It's sad to see, and I really don't know where this course of action is going to take us as a country, as a species. I'm just going to be keeping an eye out, minding my own business, trying to do the best shit I can, because at the end of the day, I have no volition or impact over anyone else's life other than my own. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. That's a really profound that's a really profound saying for a reason. It's been said a lot over time, comes up countless different times, and has a lot of different contexts for different scenarios. But it's mind-boggling to see where we're heading as a species and how we really could drive ourselves to extinction. I think that if humans ever go extinct, it would never be from any sort of outward species or some sort of illness or another mammal hunting us or anything like that. It would solely come down to us cannibalizing ourselves. I wonder if there's a work of fiction on that or anything like that. I bet there is, and I could look into it a little bit, because that would honestly scratch an itch in my brain that I have. But yeah, these are the reasons why I believe that common sense isn't so common anymore. If you agree, let me know down below. But peace out. You have a chill one.